Alright, this is my guide for 8-2 any percent in New Super Mario Bros. At essentially all levels except very beginner friendly levels, you're going to be using shell, so I am going to demonstrate using shell. So for this first room, I jump a little bit using this tree as a visual cue to jump, and that just saves a few seconds because if you don't, Mario will morph into a shell and that loses a little bit of time. And now for the first underground room, we need to really focus in on this button. And obviously this geyser which will guide us and will get us closer to the button. But with these underground upside down buttons, when we hit them, as soon as we hit them, Mario's momentum goes all the way down. So for us, the easiest way to counteract this is to basically do a double jump. As soon as you hit the button, jump to hit the button, you want to jump again to counteract the momentum. So I'll show that right now. And you hit again. You can see that the water level is about kind of near the top, but not all the way to the top. And that's a good sign that we're closer to the water and closer to getting out of it. And if we don't do it like that, you'll see that the water level won't be as high, like that. See how it's all the way on the top of the screen, basically? We want to avoid that. And I do that by binding one of my buttons to my right hand and one of them to my left hand on emulator, but if you're on console, then that can be different, and it can be a little more tricky because you can't rebind buttons, obviously. But basically doing a double tap there real quick and then spamming, essentially a controlled spam with the two buttons at first, that's probably the fastest way to do it. And now for this part, it's just essentially just spamming. And there is a visual cue because our goal right here is to get into this pipe. That's the goal for this room after we spam. And you can see these two coins right here kind of in the middle. When they're about one block away from the bottom of the screen, that's when I use that visual cue to hold left and go to the pipe. And at this point you don't need to hold run because holding run while swimming won't make you any faster. It's the same speed. So we can start holding left there and we go right into the pipe. And now this is probably the most infamous level in New Super Mario Bros. Speedrunning for any percent at least, because this way has an easy way and a hard way. And I'm not going to show the hard way, you've probably seen it. You can essentially just shell, we call it space jump, up here and go into the pipe. And that skips this entire room, which saves like, I don't know, 10 seconds about. I'm not going to show that way because it's really hard. So we're going to do the easy way. So we want to jump off, we want to wall jump off of this wall immediately, and if you miss it, that's fine. You can just wow, I can't even miss it. If you miss it, you just turn around. And there's two ways to land on this first platform. You can jump on the skeeter right here, or you can just jump off of the platform. And there's these 5 barrels, and you want to unmorph jump onto all of them because doing morph jumps would be slower until we get to this 5th barrel. Because for the easy route, there is an easy way and a hard way. So we have this button right here, and there's 2 ways. I'm going to show the easy way first. You can jump on it, swim up, turn around, jump on the barrel, and then move all the way back to the right into the pipe. However, there is an easier way, harder way to do it that's faster. If we unmorph and then jump like that, we can preserve our momentum and go straight into the pipe. However, the timing for it can be tricky. I managed to get there. Like if we do that, if you miss the jump there, because what you want to do is jump on this question block, the question switch, as soon as possible, so then it'll give you leeway to hit this bottom part as the button collapses. And that can be, and the timing can be about a few frames long, so it is pretty tight. And now for this room, our goal is to just make it to the bottom. It's a pretty simple one. You just ground pound here, hold the ground pound, and And then as soon as we're past the blocks, we can let go of ground pounding and make it into the pipe. So, turn around. However, there is a very minor but crucial detail, and that's you should hold right when you're smashing the blocks. Specifically, when you're ground pounding the blocks, you want to hold right, like this. Keep holding right. And that might not make any sense why you do that, but if I don't, I'll show you what happens when I don't do it. Did you notice it? You notice how I stopped in front of that pipe for a little bit before I could go in? If I don't hold right, then for whatever reason the game does not let you go into the pipe, I believe, for about 10 frames. So when you're smashing these blocks, you want to make sure you're holding right. Hold right. And don't let go of right. You can let go of everything else except right. That was a bad example, but... Alright, for this next room, this one looks very intimidating because of these skeeters, and they can be very inconsistent. However, they're not completely random. They're based on Mario's movement. So if you move in approximately the same way every time, they'll be in the same spots approximately every time. So what we're going to do is we're going to consistently swim with Mario, then we're going to hook around and we're going to hit this button, just like that. I'll show that again. And obviously the goal of this room is just to avoid the skeeters. And right there, we're going to do our double jump technique to immediately hit the pipe so we can keep up with the water level. So double hit and then spam. If you do it really fast, Mario will do a little hop there. And that's essentially the fastest way to do that room. And sometimes that skeeter will be in front of you. I don't know if that is completely random or if it's based on Mario's movement. Anyways, this final room is probably one of the trickier rooms for the easier route because it's essentially the same as the previous room where you hook around, but you have this skeeter who will always chase after you. So you want to hit the button pretty early before he gets you. You want to swim consistently and hook around. And then for this, our final goal is to get through this pipe up here. And that could be very stressful with the skeeters because they can feel like they're random, but the way I'm going to show can make them basically consistent. So as soon as we get out of this pipe, we want to hook around, and you'll see the skeeters are lined up like this. One will be on the left, one will be on the right. And what you want to do is to do this hook around, and then stay swimming right about here, right next to the skeeter, kind of lined up with the pipe almost to the right side. If you do that, this skeeter will always move like this once the water levels out, and he won't be able to get you, and this skeeter won't be able to get you. So if you do it that way, it should be consistent every time. Let me show it one more time. So you hook around. That was a little early, but it should still work. Yep. And that skeeter tries to get you, but as long as you stay on the water surface and you don't jump out of the water until the level almost completely rises, you'll be able to do it almost every time. However, there's also a harder way to do it. There's also a harder way to do this room where you can actually jump off of this skeeter and wall jump and then go into the pipe, which would save the most time, but it's really tricky and I'm not going to show that because that's for pretty high level runs and it doesn't save too much time. So as long as you do it a little safer, you'll be okay. And that's pretty much the level. Just jump to the flagpole.